For centuries, one empire stood as the absolute equal and eternal rival to Rome. It was the last great Iranian empire before the coming of Islam, a civilization of immense power, wealth, and cultural brilliance. This was the Ramza, the empire of the Iranians, known to history as the Sasanian Empire. Our story begins in the early 3rd century AD. The Parthian Empire, which had ruled Iran for nearly 500 years, was weakening. From the province of Persis, the historical heartland of the ancient Persians, a new dynasty was rising. A local governor named Ardashir, claiming descent from the legendary Achaemenid kings, challenged the Parthian rulers. In 24 AD, he defeated the last Parthian king in battle and declared himself Shahanshah, the king of kings. To legitimize his rule, Ardashir had his investiture immortalized in stone, carved into massive rock reliefs. He is shown receiving the Ring of Power directly from the supreme Zoroastrian god, Ahura Mazda. The message was clear. This was not just a change of dynasty. It was a divine mission to restore the glory of the First Persian Empire and the purity of its ancient religion. Ardashir's son, Shapur I, inherited his father's ambition and military genius. He set his sights on the ultimate prize, defeating Rome. The Sasanian military was a formidable force, built around its elite cavalry, the Savaran. These warriors included the cataphracts, terrifying knights encased in heavy armor, man and horse alike, who crashed into enemy lines like a tidal wave of steel. They were supported by highly skilled horse archers who could harass and demoralize their opponents. From a distance, Shapur launched a series of devastating wars against the Roman Empire. The climax came in 60 AD at the Battle of Edessa, in an event that sent shockwaves across the ancient world. The Sasanian army not only defeated the Romans, but also captured their emperor, Valerian. It was an unprecedented humiliation. This moment is forever captured on a rock relief at Nakshi Rostam, showing Shapur, majestic on his horse, while the Roman Emperor Valerian kneels before him in submission. For the first time, a foreign enemy had captured a Caesar. Unlike the decentralized Parthians before them, the Sasanians built a highly centralized superpower. At the top was the King of Kings, an absolute monarch. Below him, society was organized into a rigid four-tiered class system. The priests, the warriors, the scribes, and the commoners. This structure ensured stability and efficient governance. The empire's economic power was immense, controlling huge swathes of the Silk Road and the sea routes through the Persian Gulf. The Sasanians grew fabulously wealthy from trade. All this wealth and power was centered on their magnificent capital, Ctesiphon, located near modern-day Baghdad. It was one of the largest and most sophisticated cities in the world, a multicultural metropolis where goods and ideas from east and west converged. Its most famous landmark was the Tak Kasra, or Arch of Ctesiphon, a colossal vaulted hall that still stands today as the largest single-span arch of unreinforced brickwork in the world. The Sasanian Empire reached its golden age under the reign of Khosrau, who earned the title Anushirvan, meaning the immortal soul. He was a true philosopher king, a reformer, a builder, and a patron of knowledge. Khosrau implemented sweeping tax reforms that made the system more equitable. and filled the state treasury. He reorganized the military, creating a professional standing army to better defend the empire's vast frontiers. He also launched massive infrastructure projects, building canals, bridges, and fortifications, including a version of the Great Wall to keep nomadic invaders out. But perhaps his greatest legacy was his dedication to learning. He founded the Academy of Gondeshaba, a legendary center for scholarship. When the Byzantine Emperor Justinian closed the ancient philosophy schools in Athens, Khosrow welcomed the exiled Greek philosophers to his court. Gondeshaba became a vibrant hub where the knowledge of Persia, India, and Greece mingled. It excelled in medicine, astronomy, mathematics, and philosophy, preserving and expanding human knowledge during a time of intellectual decline elsewhere. At the heart of the Sasanian identity was its state religion, Zoroastrianism. One of the world's oldest monotheistic faiths, it preached a cosmic struggle between the benevolent creator god, Ahura Mazda, and his destructive adversary, Ahriman. Humans had the free will to choose between good and evil, and their choices would determine their fate in the afterlife. The Zoroastrian priests, known as Mobads, held immense power and influence in the Sasanian state. Central to their worship were fire temples, where a sacred flame was kept eternally burning. This fire was not worshipped as a god itself, but as a symbol of Ahura Mazda's purity, truth, and divine presence. While the empire was relatively tolerant for much of its history, the drive for a unified identity sometimes led to persecution. As Zoroastrianism became more dogmatic, minority groups like Christians, Jews, and followers of the Prophet Moni faced periods of intense pressure to conform. The wealth and stability of the empire fostered a renaissance in art and architecture. Sasanian craftsmanship was legendary. Their artisans produced exquisite silver plates with intricate hunting scenes, delicate and colorful glasswork, and luxurious silk textiles that were highly prized all along the Silk Road. Their designs, featuring stylized animals and royal symbols, created a distinct and influential artistic language. Sasanian kings continued the ancient Persian tradition of carving colossal rock reliefs into cliff sides, advertising their triumphs and divine favor for all to see. And their architectural legacy was profound. The grand palaces at Firuzabad and Bishapa, with their domes and vaulted halls, and of course the incredible Arch of Siphon, would heavily influence the architectural style of the Islamic world for centuries to come. But the long rivalry with Rome, now the Eastern Roman or Byzantine Empire, was a wound that would not heal. In the year 602, the final and most devastating war between the two superpowers erupted. This conflict, lasting for over 25 years, was fought on an apocalyptic scale. The Sasanian armies initially swept through the Byzantine East, capturing Syria, Palestine, and even Egypt. They besieged Constantinople itself. For a moment, it seemed as if the Sasanian dream of restoring the old Achaemenid Empire was within reach. But the Byzantine Emperor Heraclius mounted a daring and brilliant counterattack. He struck deep into the Sasanian heartland, and in 628, the war ended with a stunning Byzantine victory. But it was a hollow triumph. Both empires, the two titans of the late antique world, were left utterly exhausted. Their treasuries were empty, their best soldiers were dead, and their populations were decimated by plague and decades of ceaseless conflict. It was in this moment of unprecedented weakness that a new power, an unstoppable force, emerged from the deserts of Arabia, united by the new faith of Islam. The Sasanian state, reeling from its defeat and torn apart by internal power struggles, was completely unprepared. The Arab army swept into Mesopotamia at the decisive Battle of Al-Qadisiyah in 636. The Sasanian army was shattered. Soon after, the great capital of Siphon fell. The last Sasanian king, Yazdegerd III, became a hunted fugitive, fleeing east in a desperate attempt to rally support. His death in 651 AD marked the final, tragic end of the Sasanian Empire, and with it, the end of over 1,000 years of continuous native Iranian rule. The Sasanian Empire was conquered, but its culture was not extinguished. It left behind an indelible legacy. The sophisticated Sasanian bureaucracy, its systems of taxation and administration, its courtly traditions, and its regal pomp were all largely adopted by the new Islamic caliphates. Sasanian art, architecture, music, and even fashion profoundly shaped the development of Islamic civilization. The memory of imperial glory and a unique cultural identity, the very idea of Iran, would endure through the centuries. The legacy of the King of Kings, the last great empire of ancient Persia, continues to resonate in the culture and consciousness of the region to this very day. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories from history.